So I picked this little TASCAM recorder up. It's a DR-05, a bit older model, but I picked it up for like $80, and it came in this case with like an XLR microphone. It's a Behringer microphone. It's actually similar to the one that I use on my PC, except it's a little higher end model. It doesn't have the power switch on the side. But in here we've got an XLR to 1/8 inch cable for this, and then that was stuffed in the side. So the person I bought it off bought the microphone and then, you know, cut out the foam so they could fit the recorder in there with it. Anyways, right now I'm recording with my DSLR, and I have very low light here. Terrible lighting, to be honest. But the DSLR can handle that a little bit better than my phone. So I wanted to use the DSLR to record this. The issue with using the camera that I've run into is the microphones built into the camera are absolutely terrible. They're worse than the microphones built into my phone. But that's aside from the point that you also hear the autofocus. So when you're recording and that autofocus is working, you hear it a lot. And even if it's not major, like what I just did there, it's still minor. Sometimes you'll hear just little minor as it's making minor adjustments. And the motor noise in the lens, when it's moving the focus around, gets into the audio. And so on a DSLR, if you've got autofocus on, you often want to have separate audio recording from the camera. And again, like I said, even with the phone, sometimes with the phone, I'm recording an object and I've got the phone right in front of my face, or right beside my face, because I need to have the phone back far enough to get everything in shot. And then I need to be within arm's reach of everything. So you end up with the phone basically too close to your face. The microphone's right beside your mouth, and so it picks up every little like nose whistle, every time you take a breath. That is really loud in the microphone because you're so close to it. And so sometimes I'll sit there and edit out little nose whistles and things like that. And so when the microphone's a little bit further, you know, the microphone right now is not 3 or 4 inches from my mouth. You know, it's a couple of feet away. It's super simple, which I like. It just takes 2 AA batteries, and it has a 4 gigabyte SD card in there, which also gives it about 3 or 4 hours. Depending on the quality, you can set the bit rate, and you can set if it's MP3 compression or just uncompressed, like PCM. If you have it on the highest quality PCM stereo, it'll do about 3.5 hours off of that 4 gigabyte SD card. But if you set it to mono, which for voice, a lot of times mono's actually fine for just doing voice, it'll do like 6 hours, 6.5 hours, or whatever. And that's without adding like MP3 compression, which honestly for voice on YouTube, MP3 compression's probably fine. Probably wouldn't make much of a noticeable difference, if any. So, I mean, you can technically fit probably 6 to 12 hours of decent quality voiceover on that SD card. So yeah, it's all you need is like a 4 gig SD card, a couple AA batteries. It's pretty simple. You just hit record and away you go. So it also has an auxiliary in, which you can use for microphones. So that's how this one plugs in. But it's also stereo. That auxiliary in is stereo. So you could plug, for example, I could plug the headphone jack out of my Sega Genesis and do direct audio recordings. When I did virtual racing, so I recorded virtual racing on the Switch with the camera pointed at the screen, but I had a cable plugged in the headphone jack plugged into this. So that's why it sounded so good. You got like really good stereo audio recording just directly from the Switch into here. So yeah, it comes in handy for several things like that too. And again, for like $80, it came with this microphone. It's actually pretty cool. And I'm also a sucker for, I like TASCAM, and I like anything that lights up with amber LEDs. Bit of a sucker for those amber LED backlit screens. So LCD screen on this is backlit. And yeah, it's just a simple little thing that works, and it can help your videos sound a lot better, especially if you're using a DSLR. And if you ever want to do direct audio recordings, it can do that too. So yeah, definitely worth picking it up.